Hey guys, here we are back again for another episode of What's on Your Plate. You know, the youth and young adults of the world are often and easily criticized for what they're not doing or what they're doing wrong. But today's guest proves that many of them, herself included, are actually really motivated on cleaning up the messes that previous generations have caused. Elizabeth Rodriguez has made sustainability her passion, not only in her lifestyle, but in her work as well. It's a topic that gets ignored a lot, but in the great urgency of healing our world, it's more important than ever to do better when we know better. Let's listen in. I'm here talking with Elizabeth Rodriguez. She is somebody I connected with years ago over the prep table of Lilulo's, and even prior to that, actually, but certainly got to know her better in the storefront that we both served people in. And I was excited when she agreed to join me today on What's on Your Plate to talk to me about her endeavors and the way she is changing the world with her craft and her intentions, and just the way that she's moving forward in her life's path. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Yes, hi, thank you for having me. It was such an honor when you asked me to be on here. I was in the middle of like an apartment tour and I was like just like hitting my partner in the shoulder and I was like, "Oh my God, guess what?" Like, because I tell everyone that I ever come across like in a conversation about being vegan, about working at Lula's, and just like how special of a time it was for me in Crown Point. So I was really excited.
Oh, thank you. That means so much to
Yes.
me. I loved having you working there with me. You were definitely an asset, and everybody
Mhm.
there, customers and the team all felt that. So yeah, I'm glad that we connected. I'm glad our paths crossed in that way.
Yeah.
So since leaving Lilulo's and moving on to other chapters of your life, tell me about your interest in sustainability and how that has become such a focus. First, I guess let's back up a little bit and tell us in your words what sustainability is. It's a curious topic to a lot of people, I feel like, and it
Yeah.
can get muddled and confused. So what is sustainability?
Yeah. Sustainability to me is mostly about the future, but also about like preservation. And I think it's also really interesting. The definition to sustainability was changed really recently, like within the past like 2 years. And it used to be about preserving the earth for future generations. But now the definition is, I believe, like more like on the maintaining side and just like maintaining the earth for the generations that we have, which I think is really important because we've gotten to that point now where we know that we have done some, it sounds pretty grim, but we've done some irreversible damage to the planet that we have. And so I think like in being a sustainable person, a sustainable like mindset is to recognize, that we have all this access to all these resources, but we have to think about the future and the future generation, any kids that I will have, if they will have a planet to continue on and have when they might want to have kids too. So it's just like this whole like concept of just like sustaining resources and just having like a mindset that like I'm not the only one that's here and I'm not going to be the last one that's here. So that kind of plays into what it means to me, I guess.
Yeah, that's an excellent explanation. What do you say to the people that think it's not that big of a problem?
I it's hard to not get like very passionate and like emotional about it for sure because I feel that there's like this fine line between sounding like this like we're going to be the last people left on this world type of mindset, like, let's hide in our bunkers type thing, because that's definitely not where it will be at for us. And it's kind of funny because I always have this conversation with my dad, and he's always telling me, like, your generation is waking up to the fact that we are in this like predicament with the environment. And so it will get better. Like, it will always get better. There's always going to be something that can be done, even if it doesn't seem like it right now. But for people that choose to actively work against being sustainable, it's always this question of like, do you realize that you are not the only one that matters, that there's so many, there's plants, there's animals, there's entire ecosystems that rely on us to take care of them, and to just blatantly ignore that is kind of a test to your character. Like, what does that mean about you if you can't think of preservation and how it would affect someone else? So yeah, it's kind of sad, but I try to just be my most politically like withheld when it comes to like people who don't want to care about sustainability. So yeah, kind of interesting.
That's a great explanation. And it does go as deep as questioning the character of somebody when
Right.
they, disregard this big important issue in the world. Tell us how this has been something that even inspired you. Like, start us on the path of understanding where your journey began with embracing and really advocating for sustainability.
Yeah, it definitely came from veganism, because when it came to making the decision to be vegan, which was big for at the time, there wasn't as many substitutions in like vegan like diets. And so knowing like, and having like Lulu's especially was really great because there wasn't access to like just vegan food. And so when it came down to people asking me like, oh, why do you want to be vegan? Like, what made you want to be vegan? It was this like internal like battle where it was like, no, it's not just because I like the concept of this diet. It's because there are animals that are being killed to be eaten and in the most like unsustainable ways. And then it's like, okay, so what is sustainable and what's unsustainable, and what makes certain diets sustainable and others not? And so then it was a question of, what am I doing besides not eating animals that could be unsustainable? And what is the planet looking like now? And what is changing, and what's going to be our future? And so then it was just kind of this like snowball from choosing to be vegan into this lifestyle of, I want to be as sustainable as possible. But then I also want people to know that there is an issue when it comes to the environment and the detriment that we've caused to it. And so how can I tell others in, the best way that there is something that we can do and that we can all be sustainable? So yeah, big snowball effect, I guess.
Elizabeth, your depth of thought on all of these issues and the acknowledgement of how they're all absolutely tied together and really are just all the same issue. It just is, a nod at the brilliant young woman that you are.
Thank you.
I mean, it's just amazing your understanding of this topic when people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond just can't even grasp it. And maybe it is a generational thing. Maybe there is more awareness, but I think even other people of your generation are not necessarily taking it as seriously as you have, and have an understanding and are really like making it a lifestyle like you are. Because it's one thing to like, every once in a while be part of like a garbage pickup day, or to, think about using less water, or eating, less meat, or having meatless Monday, like that. But people that have really encompassed all of the aspects of this and made it everyday life, and it's second nature, and you don't even really, have to think about those things because it just is what it is remarkable. So I applaud you for that.
Oh, thank you.
I think you're so beyond your years in so many ways, and that's certainly one of them. So what do you wish that other people would have a better understanding of and realize just in their everyday lives? I mean, understanding like the big picture of global warming, I think can be very overwhelming, or animal agriculture, or, the other things that affect our world. But everyday living, what do you think are some things that people could pay better attention to?
Mm-hmm. It is like, it's so small. It can be so small. I think it can be just like you said, like using less water, like taking a shorter shower, or using paper bags in the grocery store instead of plastic, which like even like big chains such as Meyer, like they now have like a compartment where they have like paper bags. And so it's like actively just making that little switch in your mind to be like, oh, I'm going to make this one step, like that makes a huge difference. And just like to accidentally go back to like being vegan, I think it's cool how you can go online and you can see, you can type in how many years I've been vegan, how many, or even days I've been vegan or practiced like a vegan lifestyle. And it will tell you how much lumber has been saved, how much water has been saved, and grain, and CO2 has been, emitted. And that just like, it's the smallest things that you can do, I think. And I don't think that people realize that just the tiniest changes can make a difference. Because there is that whole, this is very overwhelming and I don't think that I can make a change type of mindset that can occur. And that's normal. And that's there, no one can be blamed for that, because there's definitely times where I sit back and I'm like, what is this all for? Like, am I really just, am I being too weird about this? Like, am I saying too much? But I think that it's the smallest things that like matter. And even if everyone does a super small thing and it doesn't make a difference, they can at least say like, I tried. And so I think that that's really important, just to know that like, despite the things that have been done that are now irreversible, like everyone coming together and trying to make a difference makes a difference. And so I think that that's really important.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think people really do get hung up in that like analysis paralysis. I think we're all really guilty of that, where you see such a big problem, like the environmental issues, as they pertain to sustainability. And it's like, is my one, paper bag really going to make that big of a difference? But,
Right.
If everybody chose that one paper bag that day,
Exactly. Yeah.
and you have to think of it like that. You have to think of it in the way of, you can do small things that make a big impact. You just,
Right.
have to be willing to stay the course, even if you're not going to necessarily see those results yourself.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's another good way to put it too. Definitely.
Because as you mentioned, this is not just for the here and now, it's about future generations that need to live on this planet.
Right.
And there
Right.
needs to be something left for them.
Exactly.
What do you think about in regards to what the world would look like for your own children potentially, or your grandchildren, if it stays on the current course it is now?
It's kind of sad and like scary to think about, actually. And this is like, I guess, the more like deeper side of being sustainable and constantly thinking about how to be sustainable is that that like climate countdown clock that they have in New York. I don't know if you've like seen it. You've probably seen it. I think it's, I'm not sure where it is, but I know that they have this like giant clock. And like last time that they had updated it, because they update it like every year, I believe, it said that we had until 2029 to make a difference enough to stop the planet warming to a certain degree Celsius. And once it reaches, I don't want to spread misinformation, but I feel like it's like 1.5 or 1.9 or something. And once it hits that degree in Celsius, there will be just completely irreversible damage to the environment. And being like younger, you think like, oh, that's not that big of a deal. Like, we have time, we can figure it out. But I'm turning 23 in 4 days. and 2029 is not that far away. And so I do almost have to, and I've had this conversation with my partner multiple times, is it the smartest decision to have a kid and bring a kid into the world if there's going to be an uptick in hunger, and there's going to be an uptick in deforestation and water supply and drought and just all these issues that are going to become more prevalent that we don't really see right now because we live in America. And so it's just that concern, I guess, for the big decisions like down the line, because I can still live my life right now as a 20-year-old, but then it's when I think of the future generation and the sustainable practices that we're doing now for the preservation of the future, there is that fear. So I still struggle with that every day. I'm not really sure like how things will wind up for me in that category, but I would love to see some sort of difference be made, maybe a few more years added to that clock so that I could think of having a kid. Because right now, the honest answer would be I probably wouldn't, because there is that fear of their life and their future and what would it look like for them when they turn 80, you know, will they be able to see that age? So yeah, kind of sad to think about, but it's definitely something that has to be talked about and brought to attention, because, you know, if it's not, then we'll just continue down that path. So
again, Elizabeth, completely responsible and wise, far beyond your years. I think of my own 23-year-old self, almost 20 years ago now, actually. And I was not of that mindset whatsoever. So I, again, think that that is just incredible that those are the things that you're thinking about. And is it responsible and the best choice to have children when that the course is going in that direction? And it really gets me thinking about just it reminds me of the topic of Monsanto in regards to just controlling food sources and the way food is produced in that way, in the way that I guess government steps in and takes control of things in that manner.
right.
What is your opinion on the government's stance on things like sustainability and environmental concerns and things like controlling the food and that type of thing?
Right. I have so many like mixed feelings towards government interference, and I like do not want to get political for sure, but I think that there are so many things that the government can regulate already that it doesn't. And so when it comes to regulation, and then feeling that if they step in, they'll, help in some sort of way. And this is just like a topic, just like, pulled out of the pocket, but like gun control, like if we're not addressing, issues such as those right now, and the government isn't stepping in to make like a smart decision for, people's lives, then like why would that be their concern, I guess, to step in and try to control resources when there's already this kind of like, I don't want to say like irresponsible, but just this like disregard for so many other things that matter, I guess. And so it would be concerning, but I think that not even just the government, but like billionaires, like they have like so much power, where there was that whole thing where Elon Musk could have bought Twitter, or he could have stopped climate change, and he bought Twitter. And it was just like this like defeating moment of like, why don't they care? Why do wealthy socialites get to take a 15-minute jet ride, across the country and produce enough emissions than, our whole lifetimes will. So I think that it would be strange if the government tried to like step in and regulate that, and it would really kind of be this like end of the world type feeling if they did. Um, for now, I guess like I would much rather it be up to the people to kind of find it like within themselves to like help each other. But I don't know, I guess we'll see like where that all ends up. And that's another one of those like scary topics for sure. But
Yeah, it's a terrifying topic, actually. And I guess I would use the word manage versus control when it comes to my thought on how organizations or even government should be involved in anything in our lives, quite honestly. But, it brings to mind too the notion of the control more in the hands of the people, to grassroots type of organizations that are less concerned about mass, I guess, control. We'll use that word again, even though it's not the preferred word, versus just truly doing something impactful for people rather than just, government, I guess, or large organizations. Would be something I would prefer to see.
Right. Yeah.
Boots on the ground type of organizations.
Yeah, definitely.
So tell me about how the path of sustainability has brought you to being a business owner. Tell us more about that endeavor.
Yeah, it's funny because again, like just the universe at play, like being like a teenager and watching you run your own business was like kind of this like perspective of like women can do this. Like it's not just a thing where, I have to be a man and I have to have, this entire support system behind me. Like this can be just, my dream that I make a reality. And so the idea of having a sustainable small business was like funny enough, not even like how my small business like came to be. It was more of a like, I guess, play on like affordability and being a college student. And there was so many times where I would be thinking about how I was going to spend my money and how I was going to afford groceries and rent and things such as that, and being responsible for those things. And then the side of being a woman, being a girl, and being wanting jewelry, wanting to have, the clothes that are in the trends that we're playing in. And so it was this idea of affordability. Like, what if I could make jewelry that would be affordable to myself and other girls on my college campus, and like people actually like liked it. So it kind of started like that, and I actually had started it with a former friend, and then just kind of became my own, where I had so many other things that I wanted it to be, and one of those things was sustainability. And so once I was confident, I guess, enough in my jewelry making skills, I started thinking of how can I align this small business with the thing that I think about every single day, which is the planet, and how I can be more sustainable. And so then I started thinking, if I can bring awareness to sustainability through my Instagram, which I have been able to post things that have been received pretty well about how you can make a difference, every day, and those small little things. And, from there, it was, how can I now have this sustainable small business that helps others? And so I've done a few different fundraisers to be able to try and help others, or topics that are important to me. So it kind of was another snowball thing, I guess. Those are how of the ways that goes in my life. But yeah, that was definitely just like the play into it that made it to be what it is now.
That's really cool. It's interesting how, as soon as you start taking the first step towards something, then all of a sudden these other opportunities tend to just present themselves to you. If you just keep walking in the direction of what feels good to you, then all of a sudden there's more available to you. Have you found that to be true?
I definitely have. And it was definitely prevalent to me in this past year, where I really did like hone in and focus on my small business, because the year previous, it was just kind of this like concept that I had. I wasn't like extremely passionate about it as I am now. But with this past year and how much effort I've put into it, I've definitely received back. And I've made a lot of really great connections and actually found a few like really, really great friends from doing different pop-ups and markets and going to farmers markets and hosting events and stuff. And so it's been really great to see how much effort I have put in has just been coming back to me. So yeah, that was definitely special to sit and think about.
Cool. Urban Earth, that's the name of your business, right?
Yes.
Urban Earth. And going off of your description and your words, dainty, funky, unisex, and upcycled. Crystals, gems made into beautifully wearable art is how I would describe that.
Thank you.
I mean, it's just beautiful. Anybody that is listening definitely needs to take the time to check out Elizabeth's Instagram, and all her contacts will for sure be in the show notes today. But Urban Earth is an amazing independently woman-owned business that Elizabeth has started. And tell us more about like what Urban Earth stands for, what you offer, where you upcycle from to create these beautiful pieces of jewelry.
So with like offering jewelry, I still try to keep that affordability in mind, like every time that I make something or list something, because it is, especially now with just inflation, a huge thing where people are starting to have to like make choices about like how they spend their money like much more carefully. And so I constantly, like almost every time I do something, I get the feedback of, oh, you should charge more, like, oh, this should be more money. It's like, how are you not charging more? Are you even like making any money off of this? And every time I have to almost like bite my tongue, but say that I am making money off of it, but that's not everything it has to be. It can be something where I'm just sharing, art with other people. And if I'm making $1 off of it as like compared to upcharging it and then making $5 off of it, like it doesn't make that much difference to me, because as long as I have just a smidgen of profit and then someone's able to afford jewelry that they wouldn't have been able to afford before, then that is enough for me. And so that is definitely like the baseline, is just keeping things affordable. But then in practicing sustainability every day, it has been like recycling tissue paper. Like I have definitely like hoarded tissue paper from almost like every box I ever get. Like even the things that like are like I get them shipped in, I will keep the tissue paper and I will reuse it in like my packaging. And I used to work at a law firm for maybe like 3 months, and they would get shipments in and then they would just like try to throw away the boxes. So I would like smuggle them into my car of just like all these like tissue, and I would just like put it in the trunk of my car and I'd take it home and like fold it out, and I reuse that now in all of my packaging, as well as like making the conscious choice to use hemp cord instead of suede to keep things vegan, and recycle the string that I get from packaging, and then to research every single source that I may use for crystals, or even, if something's available only on Amazon and that's the only place I can get it, like I will find the most sustainable seller that Amazon has for that item. Or like I use compostable mailers. So like the mailers that I ship things out in, the label can be ripped off and they can be composted if you have like a regular compost, and they're biodegradable. So there's so many like small little things. And especially in my time of living in Grand Rapids, I would like devote time to going to these like little hole in the wall, like antique warehouses, and just like getting my beads from there, cleaning them up, bringing them home. And it would be like this fun little like adventure for myself too. So it would be like great to find these like really old dirty beads and then bring them home and clean them up and then put them in jewelry. And then people buy that jewelry and then sometimes not even know that like this stuff came from the city that, they were buying it. And so it was just like cool to have this like time to myself to figure out how to be sustainable and also how to like share all of this with everyone else.
I just love hearing you talk about that. It almost gets me emotional because it's like you're creating something that is so authentic and so unique. And it's done in a way that literally you're like pouring your heart into it and just giving people a piece of yourself. It's not just like you're buying something in bulk and reselling it. Like people do in so many different types of businesses, right? Whether, whatever it is. The fact that you're like literally creating with your hands with material that you're caring for and conditioning and repurposing, it's just amazing to know that you're taking the time and putting your energy into that. It reminds me of the food we used to create together, or preparing a cake for somebody, where it's like you're literally you're creating something that didn't exist before, right? From like nothing essentially, or putting pieces of things together to make something that never would have been had you not had the vision to do so. And it's cool. It's cool to consider that's people are walking around with artwork that you have manifested and created. And someday that's going to get passed down and somebody's going to like inherit this beautiful creation that Elizabeth Rodriguez made. And it's going to be like a treasure piece, like forever for somebody. And I just love thinking about it in that depth, because we go about day-to-day life and do the things, and even the things that we love can sometimes really become mundane and seem like it's just like in a grind. But when you stop and really think about your why and the impact that you're putting forth, and some people might say, oh, well, it's jewelry, or, oh, well, it's just cake or food or whatever it is. And it's really not. It's so much more than that when the crafters behind the product that they're offering are like putting their love and energy into it day in and day out. So that is so cool. I'm so like just proud of you and inspired by you. And I just love what you're doing. Tell me about what you see for Urban Earth moving forward.
I will hopefully, with all of my effort and work and prayers, graduate in April and walk in April. And so once I have my degree, there is that whole daunting feeling of like, what do I do now? Like, I've been a student for my entire life, and I know that every college graduate like feels that way too, but people are always like, what are you going to do? And it's just like, I don't know, I'm open to suggestion, but in the meantime, I know I'm going to be doing Urban Earth, and I'm really excited to work on Urban Earth when I am out of school, because being on that whole school mindset and track, and also having to work part-time just like anyone else, and then having Urban Earth and that being almost my also full-time thing, has been what's been on my plate for a really long time. And so it's been really hard to juggle all those things. And especially like today, I have one more final exam left, and then I'm done for the semester. And it's just going to be like this huge relief of I can make so many things, and I can list so many things and post on Instagram and keep up with the analytics. And so I hope to find ways to be even more sustainable when I graduate, and maybe I will have more information with the next environment class that I take that I can apply to my business, and then have some connections built up where I can take Urban Earth into different places outside of West Michigan or Crown Point. So it's been almost like this big buildup while I've been in school of Urban Earth, but then once I graduate, it'll be so exciting to take it wherever I can, do as much as I can. And I owe a lot to my partner because they really hold down the fort. He works super hard and has really aided me in this dream, because I would not be able to do all the things that I've been trying to do without him. So it's been really great so far, but I'm really excited for just being able to do Urban Earth by the time I graduate.
That's so cool. And, definitely kudos to the people around you that are helping you. And I think, like most great endeavors, it takes more than one person to bring it
Mm-hmm.
to life. So, having that support around you is definitely priceless and amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad that you have that.
Yeah.
I would love to hear about things that you do just in your own personal life outside of uh, Urban Earth or other professional endeavors that you are just, it's second nature to you to be aware of it from a sustainability standpoint.
Yeah.
Can you give us some examples?
Yeah, definitely. Basically everything that I can reuse, like I do, like as like it goes from like pasta jars to like old clothing, like I will try and reuse like everything. My collection of pasta jars has outgrown like the cabinet that it was born in. So there's just like a lot of stuff that I try to reuse. I have become the master of taking quick showers. Like I take showers as quickly as I possibly can. And I try to conserve energy as much as I can. Um, Carpooling, public transportation was a huge thing for me when I was living in Grand Rapids for sure. And being obviously like vegan and taking plastic consumption and how much garbage we're throwing out into mind is a huge thing too. I'm so excited for when I no longer live in an apartment because I will finally be able to have a compost. And I've wanted to have a compost for such a long time. So I'm really excited for that too. But yeah, doing things electronically, especially in school too, has been like a great thing because we don't have to have these like folders packed with paper and these notebooks that we're constantly like tearing out and ripping up. And so there's just like so many like little small things like every day. And I wish that I could do so much more. I definitely could do so much more. But just like for the age that I'm at right now and my income, the products that I use every day is also like a part that plays into that too. So yeah, I could always do more, but I look for ways every day to just save a little bit of something.
Yeah, that's inspiring. I think it just always goes back to that when we know better, we do better type of thing. So all those suggestions are really, really valuable. And I could definitely improve my sustainability factor for sure. A lot of people in the plant-based world, I feel like they kind of stop there and they feel like they're doing enough. And it is a big part of sustainability, the
Mhm.
argument of eating plant-based is more impactful to conserve resources and promote
Mhm.
environmental wellness than is like, a electric car or fuel efficient this or that. And while that may be
Mhm.
true,
Mhm.
there's still so much more, that we just tend to just overlook and not think about as much. So
Mhm.
I know for myself, I will be taking note of all questions that you provided. We can all learn a lot.
Yeah.
What else do you want us to know? What else do you want to share with us about sustainability and the path of protecting Mother Earth and just preserving our world?
Mhm. I think that it's really important to note that when you, I guess like when you do good, you feel good, but like when you do good in the eyes of sustainability, I guess, or like in the eyes of the planet, like you do feel better. And I like think back to the kind of food I was eating and the products that even like I was using when I was in high school, and it really wasn't a concern to me versus how I feel now. And I almost like it's kind of funny because when I did get COVID and I was taking like Tylenol, ibuprofen, acetaminophen, like quote unquote drugs, like they were affecting me like so quickly. And it was because I try to live like as naturally as possible. And so when you are living naturally, like you just feel better. And it's often like easier said than done, but when you are like doing that good in like the earth and living as like sustainably as you can, like you start to feel the difference. And like the things that you like take in every day, like they really do like start to impact like your body, which impacts your mind, and your mind will impact your mindset. And so like I think that that's like really important to note that even if, using your paper bag or your, chemical free shampoo like isn't making the most difference in the world, like it's going to make a difference in your life too. So I think that that's another important thing to know, is that you can feel good by the things that you do in sustainability too.
That's such powerful information. And I agree with you wholeheartedly on just doing good and feeling good. And it all just plays a part completely together. It's all intertwined. Everything we do is connected.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us how we can find you and how we can stay connected with you.
Yeah, I currently right now operate Urban Earth through Etsy, and I advertise mainly through social media like Instagram and Facebook. But I do hope to, in the new year, especially when I have the time after the semester, to build my own website. And then from my website, I would plan for like almost like a blogging type of sustainable mindset tips and ideas and things such as that, so that I can like put a little bit more information out there. But as of right now, yeah, I am currently living in like the Grand Haven area of Michigan. So like West Michigan is kind of like my stomping ground for Urban Earth. And then I try to bring it to Crown Point as much as I possibly can. But online social media is kind of a godsend. It can be not great, but it's kind of a godsend when it comes to having a small business. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to hear that you're interested in blogging and that might be forthcoming for you, because having a place where we can just get little pieces of your knowledge as we're able to is cool, to see your thoughts just available out there on these important topics. Elizabeth, thank you so much for your time today. I've just truly been inspired by the things that you've shared, and I'm just really excited to see what develops for you and what develops for Urban Earth, and just where your journey takes you.
Yes, thank you so much. And it's definitely been, it's not often that you can like sit and like have a conversation about things that you're passionate about with someone who like inspired you to be like passionate about them. So that's also been like really great, and I wanted to point that out.
Oh, thank you. You know what? That's such a humbling thing for you to say. I appreciate you very much, and I'm a better person because I know you.
Me too.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Elizabeth has always impressed me with her level of awareness, maturity, and mindfulness. It gives me hope and even comfort to know that she and others like her are doing the important work of creating sustainability. As we've talked about before on What's on Your Plate, even small steps are better than no steps. Choose one of the many suggestions Elizabeth left here with us to be more intentional and be more aware. Perhaps the most impactful thing you can do is to stop eating animals, or even just eating less of them. It's a known fact that the resources needed to put them at the end of your fork is incredibly taxing in our world. I hope you were as inspired during this episode as I was. Elizabeth, you are incredible, and I'm so proud to know you. Keep being awesome. Listeners, please check out the show notes for all the ways to stay connected and how to support Urban Earth with a sustainable, wearable work of art. Much peace, love, and wellness, friends. Until next time.